I'm Eitan Weinstein.
And I'm Naor Menninger. And you're listening to Two Nice Jewish Boys.
This podcast is made in collaboration with the Jewish Journal. Being an Arab living in Israel brings about many dilemmas, internal conflicts, and... Okay, I'm going to start over. Being an Arab living in Israel brings about many dilemmas, internal conflicts, and possibly a very serious identity crisis. While some Israeli Arabs prosper, many other Arabs are living in Gaza in debilitating poverty and suffering under the brutal, murderous dictatorship of Hamas. Most Israeli Arabs support the joint list of Arab parties. A minority actually support right-wing Zionist parties like the Likud, Benjamin Netanyahu's party. Some Israeli Arabs work in industrial areas in the occupied territories, whereas others support the BDS movement that does everything within its power to shut down the very same industrial areas, rendering thousands of Palestinians jobless. Anyway, you get the point. Being an Arab Israeli is complicated. And now imagine what it means to be an Arab Israeli fighting BDS around the world, a supporter of Zionism, and a son of an ex-South Lebanon Army general who fled to Israel in the year 2000. Jonathan El-Khouli was one of our first guests in episode 21 titled 2001, A Lebanese Odyssey with Jonathan El-Khouli. If you want to hear that episode and Jonathan's story, you got to check it out. Now, 2 years later, he's back to talk about his courageous journeys defending Israel's right to exist, his political and personal struggles here in Israel, and yes, also the nation-state bill. We're going to talk about that.
Perfect.
We're very honored to be joined today by Jonathan El-Khouli, so thank you so much.
Hello.
Hi. Well, thank you for having me again. I'm really happy to be here once more.
The first episode was so good, we had to...
So what have you been up to?
Wow, a lot of change in 2 years. I'm now a manager of a program at the organization Reservists on Duty of minorities from Israel, Druze, Christians, Muslims, and Bedouins, who some of them served in the military, some of them did national service like myself, and others that couldn't do that because of personal matters. Mm-hmm. And they travel across the states in order to say that they are proud Israelis, that they will support the state of Israel on every platform that they are able to speak at, and that the lies that are said by the BDS movement and by especially the Students for Justice in Palestine organization all over campuses across the states is pure lies about our lives here in Israel, and we're there to battle that.
You guys speak a lot on, mostly on college campuses?
Yes.
Or is that just a part of it, a small part of
Our
it?
target is college campuses because these are going to be then future leaders of the free world of the United States. And we believe that...
Fortunately.
Well, that you said that.
I'll say it again. Unfortunately.
We can see today the Congresswoman, one of the known Congresswoman Cortez from New York, from the 9th
Ocasio-Cortez, yeah, I don't know which district, but
you can see that. Yeah, she's the result of the anti-Israeli propaganda that is going on across the campuses in the United States, and we're here to make sure that that will not happen again to other people that just walk by an anti-Israeli wall during the Israeli Apartheid Week. And they just put lies over there to say that Israel is the worst country in the world.
Yeah. And
we're there in front of it to counter it and to make sure that people know that there is our side of the story, that it's 100% truth, and that we're not going to let these lies continue to happen.
In general, in the U.S., there's a lot of, and a lot of people will say this is anti-Muslim, obviously, but there's a lot of, I guess, new events happening on the ground, like in Congress. There's the two new congresswomen, Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar,
who just tweeted something anti-Semitic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a few
when
days
she was
ago.
asked about where the money come from or where the support is, she said the Benjamins,
Yeah.
meaning the Jews.
Yeah, and basically it's criticism on AIPAC, but kind of using an anti-Jewish trope. But it goes back way farther than a lot of people like to pick that out and say, oh, it's not that bad. There's lobbying going on, but you have to look at her tweets from before where she talks about Israel poisoning the world.
Even in
and,
2014 during
Yeah.
the Operation Protective Hedge.
Yeah. So you guys are going to college campuses, and what exactly does it look like? I mean, you guys get on stage and basically, and how many people show up to a talk like this?
Yeah, so we have two platforms. We have the Minorities Project
Yeah.
that is basically going on college campuses and even communities. We've met with even Muslim communities across Europe, but our main focus is in the States. We just go and talk about our own experience as Israeli minorities. It's really funny. One time I had this Israeli, actually, woman came to us after the event, and she said that I don't love it that you say that you're minorities because you're Israelis. I'm like, yeah, I know. In Israel, we're 100% Israelis, and we don't refer to ourselves as minorities, but abroad, in order to make sure that people understand the full picture of Israel, that it's built out of diversity and amazing mosaic of populations, to let them know that it's not only Jews against Arabs or Jews against the Palestinians. It's way more complicated and mixed than
Unfortunately, I feel like if you're not a minority today on a college campus in the U.S., no one's listening to you.
Well,
you have to be a minority. It's like you have to.
Even when you are a minority, and once you are pro-Israeli, you're being immediately targeted and being called brainwashed. I've been accused of being a Mossad agent because I speak Arabic.
Really?
And one of the
Are
students...
you? I mean, we have to ask now.
Would I say I am if I was?
I don't know. Maybe
know.
you would, thinking that we thought it was a joke. Maybe it'd be like a really clever tactic.
Well, you never know.
If Arnon Milchan was a Mossad agent, then anyone can be a Mossad agent, right?
Now I think Noel was a Mossad agent. Okay.
Are you?
Well, I cannot neither confirm or deny. But in the end of the day, you guys represent a minority. I mean, the actual Arabs who go to the IDF symbolic is putting it...
It's an overstatement.
An overstatement, yeah.
Well, we can see that the situation today, since 2012, that there's a huge difference in the minorities population, in the Arabic population in Israel, both the Christian, both the Muslim, Bedouin, and the Druze, of course. There's 82% of Druze who join the military each year, and the women go and do national service.
Yes, but the Druze are a different story.
Yeah, so... And when we go and look at the Christians, for example, because I've dealt in my previous activity with the Christian community in Israel and advocating for them to join to the military and national service, we can see that today more than a third of the Christian society that finishes high school join the national service or military service. It's a huge amount of people that started doing so after they saw that what is happening around the Middle East, that the Arab countries are falling one after the other, and that they have
the Christians are the first victims.
Exactly. They had the Jews, they kicked out the Jews, and now they have the Christians, and they want to kick them out as well. We can see the numbers of Christian Syrians that fled out from Syria or that was killed in Iraq as well. This is something that the Christian society in Israel sees that and understands that Israel is the only democracy in the Middle East that can actually protect them like it did in the last 70 years.
Do you think that there is in the Israeli Arab community a certain unspoken acknowledgement of the fact that life here is better than most other places? First of all, I don't generally like to go to that place because it's not only that life here is better, it's that there's actually freedom and equal rights. It's not like, oh, we're treating you guys a little bit better than you are in most other Arab countries. There's actual freedom and rights.
It's not that hard to make life better than Arab countries.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me about that.
But there's actual democracy here, and you are an equal citizen, and you have the right to vote, and you can become a Supreme Court judge. You could become prime minister if you wanted.
Yeah.
Although, who knows what would happen if that happened one day, I don't know how the country would react. But that's beside the point. What I'm wondering is if there's some kind of unspoken acknowledgement of that people are wary of voicing.
Well, 100% there is. You can see that by the surveys that are done each year, asking the Arab community, not only the Arab community, but the rest of the population in Israel, how do you feel about Israel's democracy? How do you feel about its police department? How do you feel about its court system? And you can see that today, I think more than 65% of Arabs feel part of the Israeli society no matter what. They accept themselves as Israelis. They even, say that they're Israelis. Some of them say that they're both Israelis and Palestinians. I don't care about that. If you respect me and my identity, I will respect you as well. So we can see that change. When we want to look about the elections now, we're 2 months, I think, 1 month and a half.
50 days, exactly.
50 days from the elections, and you can see that not all the Arab population in Israel votes. It's about 50% that doesn't vote because they don't believe that they actually have someone to represent their own interests. They're already sick of this nationalism talk that is made by the joint list, the Arab joint list in the parliament today, and they want to see something different. Around 10% vote for Zionist Jewish movements. It's about 100,000 voters from the Arab sector that vote for that. It's a huge amount of number that have kept throughout the years. So you can see the diversity even in the Arab society, that it's not, just one block of people thinking the same thing.
Yeah, but still, and I hate to press you on this, but still
No,
40% vote for, or I don't know exactly how much, but the large bulk of the voting population in the Arab community votes for the joint list,
which their stand is, it's worth mentioning, like they want the right of return, for example. They support it. They
don't agree for a Jewish state.
Yes, they basically want a Palestinian state alongside a state of all nations, of all citizens, which basically would be another half Palestinian, half Jewish state, and basically there won't be a Jewish state if it's up to them.
Yeah, but I'm saying even, put that aside, because, no, seriously, because, I probably would even agree that you could interpret their views as anti-Zionist. But I'm just saying, is there any hope? Because it seems like there's basically this divide, and the Arabs vote for the Arab parties and the Jews vote, and there's hardly any crossover. So are you suggesting that there could one day be an Arab party that the majority of Arab Israelis would see as representing their aspirations in Israel? Or alternatively, do you ever imagine a scenario in which the bulk of Arab voters actually vote across that divide and vote for Israelis, for Jews, not for Israelis?
In order to understand that, we need to look at the Arab society and how it worked throughout the years. You can see that in the Jewish community by the Haredim and how they vote. The Arab society is still built out of small communities that basically, if you go to the head of the community and you say, well, we're going to go vote for that, the whole family and the whole community will vote to the same person. That's how the Arab parties were successful in achieving that high of number of voters for them. Once we have, I'm not talking about a political party, but once we have people from the ground who go and make their own organization that actually helps and answers the needs for the Arab sector today in Israel. It's with streets, electricity that is better, the education system. Yeah, exactly. The education system in the Arab society is one of the lowest in Israel.
And violence.
That's correct.
Domestic violence.
And violence against women.
Yes.
These things are not being approached by the Arab leaders. And today, the Arab street is really thirsty for people to actually address these problems, because they actually want to be successful in life. They want to go up this, advanced level that they can go through. And once we have this movement from the street itself, we can actually, see by the next elections a party who's actually can pass the electoral vote and be representative of these people in the parliament.
There is actually a new Arab party. They are revolutionary. I forgot their name.
With Dr.
Yeah.
I forgot his name as well, but I know that he's
But
a doctor.
they basically say we want to sit in the government, which is, you never heard of an Arab party who declares they will sit in the government.
Yeah, that's right.
And they won't get into the Knesset, but they're revolutionary. So you already see.
Is this the doctor of the Ziv medical center in Tzfat?
No, I don't think
No.
he's
Okay.
that kind of a doctor. He has a PhD.
PhD,
Yeah,
I see.
I think so, if I'm not
So
mistaken.
there is a party. They're trying to do that.
Yeah, I don't think that they have any chance.
No chance?
Because they didn't actually come from the ground after activity. People are sick from just, saying slogans. You can see that even in the primaries, that they didn't elect people who just, shouted slogans and just wanted to say, oh, well, look, I am a minority. I want to represent the Arab sector, but no one will vote for them only because of that.
But when you go to your community and to other Israeli Arab communities, don't you get hatred and opposition for the fact that you support Zionist politicians, that you are right winger in Israeli politics? How do they react to that?
Not always it's good.
Not always. Is it ever?
Sometimes I actually hide my political views for people that don't recognize me. But once they hear my accent in Arabic, they understand that I'm from Lebanon. Once they understand that I'm from Lebanon, they know that I'm part of the South Lebanon Army families.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, they immediately, label me under, the pro-Israeli title. I'm never, ashamed of that. I always go and proudly say that I support Israel, even debates in Arabic with Arab politicians that I did a few years ago. But the thing is that today we do have a lack of actual dialogue in the Arab community, that they will not go deep into the thoughts of why do you think X or why do you think Y. They just, keep the level of debate on a really shallow and not, educated level of, understanding what we want in life and understanding what we want to achieve in a few years. This is something that I really miss seeing in the Arab communities today.
What happens to an Israeli Arab in, I don't know, Taipei, an Arab village or wherever, who suddenly puts a video onto Facebook saying he supports Bibi Netanyahu?
I don't know actually. Well, we saw in the last primaries of a woman who's actually from Manda that ran for elections in the Likud for the primaries in the Likud. She didn't pass because she only said, "Well, I support Bibi and I support
The party.
Yeah, well, I suppose she didn't really actually bring anything to the table. But nothing happened to her. She's still living in her village. She's still,
So it's not dangerous.
Happy. It's not that dangerous as it was before. The street, like I said, the street is changing throughout the years, and I think it will be really important if the Arab, Jewish, and Zionist parties will understand that and will actually add people that think the same as they do to their mechanism of elections.
I feel like I'm taking the role of Noel because usually he's the pessimist. But I remember in 2011, or at least in the following months and years, there was a lot of talk about the Arab Spring and the Arab street, and a lot of talk about the street is changing, and there's this grassroots movement that's going to change things. But looking back, maybe it's too short of a time. Maybe less than a decade has passed.
Yeah.
So maybe that's not enough time, and change is still a coming. But part of me feels like it's this much longer process, and we're not even towards the beginning of the beginning.
Oh,
You
definitely.
feel it.
Definitely.
In the campuses, for example, if you go to Tel Aviv University, you see posses. So you see basically the Jews hang out together, you see the Arabs hang out together, and even when you go to the same class as the Arabs, it's a weird thing to see because they're there, but integration will not take place, which is so bizarre because we all speak Hebrew. They speak Hebrew, we speak Hebrew. And there's this kind of segregation that's, I don't know, spontaneous or... So why is that? Why?
Well, I believe that everything goes to education eventually, what you're being raised on and what people who claim to be your leaders are saying to you about this other people who you're sharing the same state with you. What happened is that throughout the years, we had the Arab leaders who said that we don't want to integrate, we don't want to be part of the coalition. You said it yourself at the beginning that finally we can see a little bit of sparklings from the Arab street that they actually want to be in key positions to make sure that their life will be better. So until now, we didn't have these leaders to say, well, we have a problem. We need to face it. Let's go and build more places to actually connect between the Jewish and the Arab communities. We didn't have that from the political parties. Once we came in 2012 with the idea of actually, encouraging people to join the national service or military service, the biggest opposers for that were from the Arab parties, because they wanna maintain this this level of being oppressed, in quotation marks.
Yeah.
They want to keep that. They want to keep that, title, because they don't want the people actually to educate themselves. They don't want people to actually, involve, pure and free thinking to actually look around and see, well, we're going to stay here. No one is going to throw anyone to the sea. We're going to stay living together till we die with good, with being old. And it's not going to be changed unless we'll do something about it. But we can see that today, for sure, from the street.
And you spoke earlier about kind of the Arab towns and cities and villages in Israel being neglected as far as infrastructure. And I'm assuming you would say that the Arab politicians and representatives are responsible for that. But how does that happen, like, practically speaking? Is it that money gets siphoned to these communities but used for other purposes? I mean, how is that happening?
Corruption?
Yeah, that's what happens. It's corruption all over the Arab parties in the communities, in the villages and the Arab cities. We can see that, the government is willing actually to pass money. We saw that 3 years ago, only the Likud and this coalition have
$15 billion plan.
15
shekels.
15 billion shekels. It's a lot of money.
The biggest investment in Arab community in the history of
Exactly.
Israel.
It's for high tech. You can see actually today in Nazareth, if you go to Nazareth, you can see more than 6 or 7 high tech companies that are actually thriving because of help from the Israeli government. You can see I think it's more than 900 million shekel that only the Ministry of Education have put in the Arab sector to encourage Arabs to join higher education system and to help them take, not to take loans and not to work throughout their studies, because they want them to focus only on their studies. So you can see that the government is actually doing a few steps towards the Arab community, but you need to have another person from the other side to shake your hand to accept it, and we don't see that from the Arab leaders today in the Knesset.
But it sounds like they're actually bypassing kind of the community leaders and investing in the actual community by building these high-tech hubs. And what these high-tech hubs in Nazareth employ mostly the people in that area?
Yeah. They are for the Arab communities. They have women, they have men that are in key positions. And I think this is eventually the key for a successful community to thrive from these young women and men who's actually being invested by the government.
So what about, like, you represent a young generation, and I wonder, like, if you'll go to politics and bring the change by yourself.
I've been asked this question so many times. Even in the States, when we talk about these things in the street, I believe that you're able to change a lot and to influence a lot outside of the political, circle.
You can't.
Well, we were successful to change a lot in the Christian society outside of the Knesset.
If you were the minister of whatever, you'd change much more.
Well, it might be, but I think today that I can be more successful and less, kavul, less chained.
Tied down.
Less tied down to, because of a coalition or opposition. I believe that today I'm more free to actually represent my actual ideas before I go and join to some sort of political party.
I'm disappointed.
Maybe in the future.
In the future,
Maybe. I would never rule that out.
Okay, fair enough. So there's one thing, Jonathan, that we didn't discuss last time, and maybe we can talk about it this time. And how do we go about and talk about it?
So dramatic.
Well, I think your struggle is twofold, because on one hand you have this identity crisis of being, I don't.
It's not a crisis.
We kind of slapped it.
Well, it was a crisis.
It was, but not anymore.
But we slapped the identity crisis on there. It feels like right now you're pretty comfortable in your skin. But you have this dual struggle because you're also part of another community, the homosexual community, which, especially coming from I'm not sure how it is, because your community is different than the wider Arab community, but in the wider Arab community is obviously even more of a struggle. How does that meet you on the day-to-day, or does it not?
Well, wow, that's a big question. Because I think one of the things that everyone is trying to do, and especially like me with everything I'm doing, is to try and balance between my multi-identities and everything that I have. Because, some identities can actually clash and not get along with different identities that I have. But I'm trying today to actually work it on. Once I came out of the closet, I immediately, questioned, am I Christian now? Am I not Christian? Like, how is it going to work?
Thousands of priests would say you are a Christian. Oh, yeah.
He went there.
Too soon. No, I'm kidding. And it's like an actual question of like existence. Like, what is my family going to say about it?
When was it?
It was in 2013. On the 1st of January 2013, wow. I achieved the award from the Ministry of Health for my national service that I did in Rambam Facility Hospital. And that day, when I received it, it was like a new year. I felt that it was like my first year in college as well, and I felt that I can't keep hiding this. It was like really like a huge stone on my chest that eventually made me go to like my best friend and tell her about it. And of course it's a she, because like, how didn't they know before? So I went to tell her about it, and she was like 100% with me, and she helped me throughout the week.
Did she know? Was she like, come on?
Yeah, well, it was kind of that. Like, it was really dramatic. I took her to a coffee place, and I was sitting there, like, immediately starting to cry. I'm like, I have something to tell you. Like, I'm wiping from like tears. I was just like, what is happening? Are you okay? Like, are you like sick or something? And I was like, no. Well, I don't really like women. And she's like, what do you mean by that? Like, well, I'm more into men. And he was like, oh, okay. Well, it's fine. Like, and then,
by the way, is she a Jewish friend? Or?
Yes, she is. Yeah, most of my friends are Jewish, although my Arab friends and the people who I travel with to the States that are Arabs, Druze, Muslims, and Bedouins, they know about me.
But they are progressive. They travel with you.
I don't think so, because many of them are traditional. yeah, they do travel and they are open-minded, but they understand that they can't force their own thinking to another person, and they need to be acceptant of the other, except when the other person is denying your whole existence. And that's why they go and fight the BDS movement, because no matter who you are, no matter what is your identity, no matter what's your background, no matter what's your religion, you can't stand a political movement that is basically denying the Jewish people their own state. And that's what's happening with the BDS movement.
So you go out of the closet, but what about the family?
That was difficult at the beginning. Like 6 months after my meeting with my friend, I told them, and it was like a huge fiasco. Well, I didn't really tell them because they discovered by their own.
How?
I was part of the Israeli Gay Youth, IGI, the organization, and I was there as as a guest. Later on, I volunteered for 4 years because I received so much that I wanted to contribute back to this organization that actually helped me go through my process. So I put a sticker on my shirt that said "gay," and I forgot the sticker on the shirt.
And you went home with it.
And not only I went home, it went to laundry with the sticker. So 2 days after that, it was the day that France announced civil marriage and gay marriage. And my father heard an interview on the radio with Jonathan, an Israeli who went to France to get married there with his spouse. So he came to the house, he went into my room and he said, "Jonathan, we need to talk."
Wait, was that you who went to France?
No. I'm still single, by the way.
It's just coincidental.
Yeah, no, that's how he said that he have to talk to me, although like he already knew that it's my shirt and the sticker is there.
So what was his reaction? What did he say?
It's a black mark on the community. It's a black mark on the family. That people will cut ties with us, that they will not speak with us. That's the Arab tradition, although we don't,
That's some heavy
say,
shit.
oh, definitely. It's like the whole family is now on my shoulders, and it's my decision to decide if I'm gonna bury the family socially, or I'm gonna,
Bury yourself.
That's what he
Basically.
said. It wasn't the classical "I love you, I'm your father, I stand behind you."
It came after that because
Okay.
I didn't.
I don't know if that's classical.
No, but
It's not.
classic good
Maybe
g-
today.
feel good kind of situation.
Maybe today it is, but it wasn't, especially in traditional communities, you will not
Yeah.
find that. So we had this huge fight, and so I told him that it's not my decision, it's his, whether he's going to accept me as who I am or I'm going to leave home. And after that, like an hour after that, he sent me a text saying that I love you no matter what. I'm your father, you're my son, and we're gonna do everything in our power to try to figure it out. We're still trying to figure it out till today, but we're in a way better situation than we were before, and I'm still at home.
What kind of struggles is it presented for the family and for you?
Well, the families in Lebanon don't know until today. Although, I speak about it when I tour in the States, and I'm really open about it because I believe that everyone needs to be 100%, honest with himself and with the audience that he's going to talk to, and to present, it's not my philosophy, but to present like my perspective on life and why I believe that Israel is a democracy and it's a free place that I can actually live and experience myself. So it was.
So they might know in Lebanon, but
They might know, but no one talks about
here
it.
within the community.
With the South Lebanon community, no one talks about it. That's why like my Facebook is always I don't touch these subjects on Facebook. I never, came out of the closet, officially on Facebook.
So you won't post this you won't share it on your Facebook, this episode?
I might actually do.
Okay.
I'm still thinking about
Okay.
it. As we speak, it's a funny story because today I was not today. This year I was filmed for a movie from one of the school. I forgot. Oh my God, I'm sorry. She's one of like my oldest friends in Israel. She was in the class when I was first came to Israel in Haifa. And she called me and said, "Well, I'm studying cinema, and I want to do a short documentary about you." So they came and I did talk about all this struggle of the multi-identities and everything, and it was published, but I didn't publish it on my Facebook. Because of the things that I touched there, like with me being gay and everything that goes with it.
What's the fate of gays in the Palestinian Authority and in Gaza?
Well, I've met a few Palestinians who actually were tortured in Mahmoud Abbas's jail in the West Bank for being gay. In the Gaza Strip as well, you can see that they execute people for being gay. I think it was 2 years ago when a story was published about an official in Hamas that was killed because he was accused of being homosexual. So this is
Nobody
what,
talks about it.
Of course not. And once once we go there and we say, well, you're advocating for the Palestinian states, I'm 100% okay with that. But what kind of state are you advocating for? This is the question.
Iran 2.0?
Yeah, exactly. So are you for human rights for 100% or not? Like, this is a really simple question. And once, you talk to them, immediately they will start cursing at you and they will not listen to anything you say because, oh my God, you touched this sacrifice, like this sacred opinion that you can't judge or can't criticize.
I mean, today a lot of the people in that, the ultra-tolerant liberal would tell you, well, it's everybody has a different truth, so you can't necessarily deny them that truth. Living in the West Bank or in Gaza, if they want to live under that
it's their right, man.
That set of values, it's their prerogative.
Who are you to judge?
There's no good and evil. It's just constructs of the human mind.
Well, there is good and evil, and Israel is always on the evil side, so they need to choose. Are they going to stick with everything?
I guess killing gays is good.
For them, it might be. That's what they're doing. Like in Chicago, I think a month ago, they denied an Israeli gay delegation to participate in the gay parades there, because they're Jewish, and they prevented them from actually waving the gay flag with Magen David on it because it hurts someone's feelings, the Magen David.
There's the nation state bill. We promised to talk about it.
Yeah.
So
and we will.
The nation state bill is basically a law that was passed like 4 months ago, something like that. That basically says that Israel is the country of the Jewish people, and that Arab-speaking public minorities will have a special place.
Only the language.
The language
Arabic, yeah.
But they have rights, etc., etc. But it's a Jewish
it's gonna be like the Arabic is gonna still be in key places, in government, in the streets, in signs and everything.
Right.
But it also included a clause saying that all people will have equal rights, right?
I don't remember anymore.
That's what they want to add.
I'm pretty certain that it said that this would not derogate from the fact that everybody has equal rights and everything, but the state is for the Jews.
Because there is a law. There is a separate law that says that everyone has equal
from
rights.
1992.
But there was a huge rift here, mainly from Arab Israelis, but also Zionist Arab Israelis, like the Druze, who basically said, this is discriminating, this is disgraceful, we die for you in wars, and you legislate this law. So what do you think about this law?
Well, the thing is with the Druze community, I'm talking about, we need to separate between the Druze community that
That go to the army?
that demonstrated. We need to separate between the Druze community that demonstrated against the bill and the Arab leaders who led their own against it.
Yeah.
The Druze community don't deny the existence of the state of Israel for the Jewish people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have to do this separation between the bills, because the national bill is a national bill talking about the identity of Israel as the Jewish state for the Jewish people.
Mm-hmm.
And the question of basic human rights needs to be dealt with different laws. It doesn't need to be in this law, in my opinion. So if we need to do another law in order to make sure that it happens, okay, we can do that. But the national bill, in my opinion, it's not something that that can or will actually separate between the communities there is in Israel.
So saying this state is the Jewish state,
Yes.
period, it's okay with you.
Yeah, definitely. That's
Okay.
what the Druze community as well says. They just want to add the equality thing that, in my opinion, is already added in different state laws that
Yeah.
that exists.
Not
Yeah.
different, more important laws. I mean, it's
Important.
No,
As
they're the same.
important.
The national,
It's
the national law was going to be a chok yesod.
Yes.
Yeah. But the thing is, as a lawyer explained to me, in law, when you have contradiction between two laws, so you use the more current one. The more current one, the newer one, can overthrow the older one.
Yeah, but there's nothing in this law, in my opinion, that actually harms or can take away one of my rights.
It does say in the law that that Jewish settlements will have a priority, like that they will be prioritized over other kinds of settlement. That was the only controversial. But yeah, well,
But no one actually talks about this.
right. Yeah.
Even like Tzipi Livni, when she talked against the bill, she always said that she wants only the word equal to appear in the bill, and not only that. I believe that every democracy have its right to protect itself, because as you mentioned before, we have Arab members of Knesset today. Well, she's not going to be in the next Knesset, thankfully, Khanin Zabi. She led a law.
I thought Tzipi Livni.
Oh, no, I'm talking about the Arab.
Okay.
Khanin Zabi led one of
She's
laws.
an Arab Knesset member.
Yeah, she led a law to say that Israel is not a Jewish state and it's a state for all its citizens. So I think, in a way, that a democracy needs to protect itself for some sort of a level.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just, to me, it's baffling because it seems like every democracy has this. Even most of the, like, usually citizenship is defined by blood or by soil, right?
Mm-hmm.
And most European nations do it by blood. I mean, America does it by blood and by soil, but most European nations do it by blood, meaning if you're French, you are French by blood, most likely. Most of France, unless you are born to a French person, you're not going to be French, and it's going to be very difficult to be French. But once it becomes Jew, I don't know. I guess maybe because people, I mean, obviously there's a lot of anti-Semitism rolled up in there, but maybe it's because people see Jew as a race and French as a nationality. But I mean, it doesn't make sense to me how there's such this basically what it's saying is, to be a citizen of Israel, you need to be part of the nation of Israel. To me, yeah, the law. It's saying to be. Meaning
It
this
says
nation,
the country is meant for the people of that nation.
Yeah.
Yeah, for example, like, you can't take this state and make it the state of the Palestinian people.
Exactly.
Yeah. Even if there will be a Palestinian majority, by law it will still be the Jewish state. That's the purpose of the law. Because if it weren't for this law, in the future, in theory, Arabs could become the majority and make it an Arab state.
I don't think they would. I think regardless of this law, they will never let that happen. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but in theory, they could do that.
That's the issue. I think that's what this law is coming to say, is that
We want to make sure 100% that nothing happens to the Jewish state.
yeah,
Because in the future, there will be a non-Zionist majority in Israel of Arabs and ultra-Orthodox. And what do you do then?
we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Or we won't.
So yeah. Okay, so before we go...
I'll be Netflixing.
Yeah.
That's what I'll be doing. I don't know
in
about
Alabama.
you. Yeah.
I think we're going to have a different thing in the future than Netflix.
Yeah,
The
hopefully.
next thing, yeah.
Like virtual reality Netflix. I don't know about you guys. I have American citizenship, so good luck.
Fuck you guys.
Good luck.
Let's get married.
Jonathan, so you're going to tour in the US. So in theory, like people who want to book your tour, book your lectures in America or elsewhere, how do they do that?
So they can reach me on Twitter or Facebook, Jonathan El Khouri.
How do you spell that?
Jonathan, Jonathan, El Khouri, ELKHOURY. Or on my email, Jonathan at onduty.org.il. That's how you can reach me.
Very
Or
cool.
throughout
And
my cell phone. No, I'm kidding. I'm not giving my cell phone.
For you single guys out there,
Yes, definitely.
The organization's called Reservists.
Reservists on duty.
on
Yes.
Facebook?
Yes.
In
that's
English?
right. In English and in Hebrew.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you for
It's always a
having me.
pleasure.
A pleasure and such a nice... I'm so calm, you know? I feel elevated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your
It's like,
energies are like soothing.
Yeah, it's like I was listening to a podcast just now with Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, and he has that, and it's very similar. You have this very just like soothing way of speaking.
I hope that
Yeah.
people will not get bored of that.
No, it's good
Because the
It's like-
content is...
yeah.
Fantastic.
Even
Thank
with
you.
him too, it's like something grips you, but it's still like it's like listening to an om.
So before we go,
Yes.
we have a collaboration with the Jewish Journal.
Mhm.
Go ahead and tell them.
JewishJournal.com. There's a lot of great columns, news articles, podcasts.
Like David
we're one of their
Suissa's
podcasts. David
podcast.
Suissa, Rosner's Domain. Check them out at JewishJournal.com.
And we also accept donations.
Yeah, so if you want to, we do this on our free time, guys. So if you want to send us a few shekels, then we'll happily take all your money.
2ngb.com/donate. And one more thing. We're on Instagram.
We are.
We're on Twitter.
We are.
And we also record a video of the show, guys.
On Facebook.
So if
Facebook
you
and
want,
on YouTube?
Also YouTube. So like if you're listening to us via the app and you want to see the fun here in this TLV apartment, that became weird. So go to our Facebook page and watch it. Watch us.
Definitely. Check
Yeah.
us out,
We're
guys.
handsome.
We're on video, and
Eitan
we're
is
going to
fucking
be
gorgeous.
I know. That's why they put me right in here in front. It's not for the brains. So check us out on Facebook, and occasionally we do a live episode. So usually Tuesday nights.
Tune in. So, Jonathan, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you for having me here.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.